Piers Morgan, a man who has spent decades polishing his own reflection in the tarnished mirror of the mainstream media. He remains a curiosity, a voice that deafens without enlightening. To survey his career is to walk through a gallery of cracked portraits, each one a study in ambition outstripping talent, each picture dripping with arrogance, hypocrisy and lies. Before Morgan became the voice of globalism, lockdowns and forced vaccinations, he began in the newsrooms of tabloid Britain, a realm where truth is often absent. As editor of the Daily Mirror in the early 2000s, he presided over a scandal that would have crushed, cremated and buried a lesser ego. In 2004, his tabloid published photographs purporting to show British soldiers abusing Iraqi prisoners, images soon after exposed as fabrications, nothing more than staged lies. His headlines screamed of war crimes, demonizing the British soldiers. But the evidence showed these pictures were nothing but lies, staged by actors. Morgan, ever the captain of a sinking ship, refused to apologize, clinging to the helm as the Daily Mirror's credibility foundered. His departure was inevitable, yet he emerged unscathed, a phoenix too brazen to notice its own ashes. This stench of impropriety followed him. Allegations of phone hacking swirled around his tenure at the Mirror and his earlier stint at the News of the World. Though never convicted, Morgan's name became a recurrent theme in the Leveson inquiry, that grim symphony of journalistic malpractice. In his autobiography, The Insider, he recounts with a chuckle how he listened to Paul McCartney's voicemails to his wife, Heather Mills, during a time of marital difficulties. Sir Paul was crooning, "We can work it out, we can work it out," to Heather, completely unaware that this private moment would be heard by peers. Morgan denied orchestrating such intrusions, of course, with the practiced innocence of a man who has rehearsed his lines in front of a cracked dressing room mirror. The stink of these accusations linger like a rotten egg, unproven perhaps, but impossible to ignore. Morgan's history is a litany of reinvention, each chapter more garish than the last. From tabloid kingpin to television presenter, Morgan has chased the spotlight with the desperation of a crack addict craving a glass pipe. His attempt to conquer the American television market, first with CNN, then with various guest spots, ended in predictable humiliation. This came in 2013 when he faced Alex Jones, the American Patriot broadcaster, in a debate on gun control. Morgan, with his customary tactic of over-talking, found himself outmatched by a louder, more informed, more educated, more passionate man in the shape of Jones, who is a proud American that makes a foghorn sound quiet. Alex Jones drowned Morgan in a torrent of decibels, leaving him floundering and on the verge of tears. As an interloper from Britain, a nation that surrendered its muskets long ago, Morgan had no standing to lecture Jones or the United States on their sacred constitutional right to bear arms. The humiliation was exquisite. We saw the overtalker overtalked, the pontificator out-pontificated. After Morgan's utter humiliation and falling ratings, he returned to England, where he began a tenure on Good Morning Britain, a fresh stage for his theatrics. When the pandemic arrived, this suddenly gave him a new role, part scientist, part breakfast TV host, part fearmonger, part messiah. Morning after morning he berated skeptics, abused people who questioned his authority, and demanded obedience to a narrative that allowed no dissent. The vaccine, that modern sacrament, became his rallying cry Woe betide any guest who dared question its sanctity. He was not informing, he was enforcing. During the lockdowns, he scolded Rita Ora for hosting her birthday party at a restaurant, branding her reckless, stupid, evil, and inconsiderate. This vile creature, Morgan, had the audacity to consider a goddess like Rita Ora unfit to celebrate her own radiance and magnificence on her special day. This crime of chastising Rita makes Morgan human scum, committing a virtual sacrilege against the divine right of Rita to revel and enjoy the celebration of her birthday. His crusades extend beyond pandemics and the criticism of Rita Ora. Morgan has now embraced the green agenda with the zeal of a late convert, hailing Greta Thunberg as a visionary. One imagines him nodding sagely as the autistic Swede intones her warnings, mistaking her schoolgirl severity for profundity. His alignment with World Economic Forum's talking points, such as eliminating farming and the enslavement of society, feels less like conviction and more like a bid to stay relevant among the megalomaniac billionaires. He pushes their lexicon with the enthusiasm of a man who has glimpsed the guest list and wants to be part of it, front and centre at the billionaires' cabal. He has taken up the megaphone with gusto in his relentless demonisation of Tommy Robinson, the English patriot. Morgan, never one to stint on volume or venom, paints Robinson as a pariah with a relish that teeters perilously close to the edge of personal vendetta. A crusade less about principle, one suspects, than about the thrill of the chase. His attacks are delivered with the unerring confidence of a man who believes the mirror is his most faithful critic. And the result is a portrait of Robinson as a kind of rabid outcast, a figure too coarse for the polished sensibilities of millionaire Morgan's studio-lit moral universe. Morgan's outrage unfurls with a curious selectivity, a sleight of hand worthy of a pickpocket. Robinson's ardent love for his country, his unapologetic devotion to its people and its past, is briskly dismissed as extremism, a sin beyond redemption in the gospel, according to Piers. Meanwhile, Morgan himself ascends the pulpit, presenting his every pronouncement as the fruit of an all-knowing, never-erring genius, a beacon of rectitude amid the fog of lesser minds. It's a performance so polished, you can almost see the cue cards hovering in the air, each word dripping with the assurance of a man who mistakes decibels for depth and indignation for insight. Robinson can proudly claim sincerity. Morgan claims only the spotlight. Then there is his curious dance with Donald Trump. Initially, Morgan fawned over the president with the sycophantic zeal of a courtier angling for a knighthood. Interviews were soft as butter, questions lobbed like bouquets. But when Trump's star waned, following the coordinated assault against democracy, Morgan turned on him with the venom of a spurned lover, decrying the man he once praised as a demagogue unfit for office. The pivot sharpened in 2020 when Morgan leapt aboard the Black Lives Matter bandwagon, demonising Trump and the police with equal fervour while canonising George Floyd as a saintly martyr. The complexities of Floyd's passing of counterfeit dollars and the fentanyl in his system were swept aside in favour of a revisionist biography that suited the moment's mood for martyrdom. Such reversals might suggest principle, were they not so transparently opportunistic. Morgan does not shift with the wind, he shifts with the ratings. What then makes Piers Morgan a vile snake? It is not merely his bravado, though that grates like a broken trumpet. Nor is it his hypocrisy, though the trail of broken loyalties, from Trump to his tabloid past speaks for itself. It is his cynicism, his willingness to exploit fear for the sake of a headline or a retweet. He slithers through the public square, shedding principles as a serpent sheds skin, leaving behind a residue of discord. Morgan is no fool, he knows the game and plays it with reptilian precision. But nor is he a titan. He is a cheap Bluetooth speaker, blaring loudest when the tune is least needed. In the end, Piers Morgan endures not because he enlightens, but because he exasperates. He is the itch we cannot stop scratching, the noise we cannot tune out. And perhaps that is his triumph, to be inescapable, even as he is insufferable. But let us not mistake volume for virtue, nor provocation for profundity. The man is a spectacle, nothing more, a shouting clown, performing in a world too weak to change the channel.